Last year, I encountered this word which profoundly resonated with me, and it's something I think about a lot. Of curiosity that will never be satisfied. It is a sadness I sometimes feel when I think too far ahead. Ellipsism is the ache of that I will not live forever hits me. It usually happens at night, in a drowsy, half-asleep state. A wave of panic washes over me, followed by a lingering grief that someday everything will turn black, and I'll never know where the story will go from there. I wonder about what discoveries will redefine reality, and all the people I will never know, and what will shape their thoughts and everyday life. But beneath this sorrow is a deep love for life itself. After all, one cannot grieve the future without first caring deeply about existence. Grief is the price we pay for love. Attachment creates fear. So when we value consciousness, the ability to think, to feel, and to participate in the unfolding of the world, it makes sense that we feel some separation anxiety for all of this. And maybe this anxiety is also a call for presence. We need to cherish the time we have, go for the things we want, not letting anything be unsaid, take all the opportunities we get. Before I knew the word ellipsism, I used to describe the feeling as a kind of deep FOMO, a fear of missing out, but it never resembled the ordinary meaning of that phrase. I have never been afraid of missing a party, a gathering, or any fleeting social event. Those moments pass, and something similar always returns. It's not because I don't find life enjoyable. On the contrary, life feels endlessly fascinating to me, and I see it as much more than just a collection of events. I see it as a continuous process of becoming. Even in its quiet moments, it holds a kind of depth that trivial experiences cannot capture. A conversation, a thought, a shift in perspective. These feel more significant than any single occasion I might miss. What I fear missing is something far less tangible. It is the unfolding of life itself. To not be conscious and alive is such a crazy thought that I almost don't believe it could ever happen to me. That I might be the exception to the rule for some reason. Even though for most of time of history I was never there. But once I entered it, to leave it feels almost unbearable, and that I must find a way to cheat death and become immortal. This is probably one of the reasons why humans invented religion as a coping mechanism. We can think about death, fear it, and even try to accept it, but we cannot experience what it means to not be. The mind reaches a limit, and beyond that limit, there is only silence. This tension between awareness and impossibility makes life feel so strange. This realization is so overwhelming that the human mind clings itself to belief of heavens and afterlife in order to not sink into meaningless despair. It is easy to fall into the belief that if nothing lasts, then nothing truly matters. At some point, whether consciously or not, we are faced with a choice about how we want to live. We can choose to live with awareness, to confront reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. This path demands honesty. It requires us to acknowledge uncertainty, mortality, and the inevitability of loss. Even when reality is difficult, it is real, and there is something grounding in that, an alignment between what we know and how we exist. Or we can choose to live in fantasy, to build a mental version of the world that feels safer, more comforting, more certain, that align with whatever narrative we find most suitable, a narrative that softens the harsh edges of existence, that replace ambiguity with clarity and fear with reassurance. While this feels like a big relief, reality does not disappear simply because we turn away from it. It waits, and when it breaks through, in moments of change and confrontation, the distance between what we believe and what is becomes painfully clear. This creates cognitive dissonance, which is a fracture between the mind and the world it inhabits, creating crippling anxiety and emotional dread. No matter what path we choose, none is free from suffering. Perhaps the question is not how to avoid suffering, but what kind of pain we are willing to accept, and maybe in choosing to see clearly, even when it's difficult, we choose a life that, while heavier at times, feels more whole. And sometimes we might even find out that the beliefs that we thought were protecting us actually caused us more harm, because sometimes reality isn't as bad as we think. People constantly underestimate themselves and what they are capable of, and the potential for good in other people. Closely held beliefs might keep all of life's potential in a blind spot. In recent years, something remarkable has begun to happen. For most of human history, aging has been treated as an unavoidable fact, a slow and irreversible process that leads inevitably to death. But today, science is starting to question that assumption. Researchers are no longer only trying to treat individual diseases, they are beginning to target aging itself. At the cellular level, aging is a collection of biological processes, damage to DNA, shortening of telomeres, declining energy production, and the gradual breakdown of the system that keeps cells functioning. Now, science are attempting to intervene in these processes directly, not only to stop aging, but also to some extent reverse it. Some experiments have already shown surprising results by improving how cells produce energy, particularly through structures called mitochondria. They have been able to extend lifespan and improve health in animals, like curing blindness in mice. Other approaches involve trying to reset them to a younger state. Even certain drugs and compounds are being studied, and some have extended lifespan significantly in animal models. For the first time, it no longer seems entirely impossible that humans could live for much longer than what previously would be considered natural. This raises some very interesting questions. How would this affect our understanding of life, our relationship with religion, our fear of death? We build our lives on the assumption that life is short and our time is limited. On some rare occasions, some of us live long enough to see our 100th birthday, but most don't. But what if that horizon begins to move? What if the boundary of our existence becomes less fixed and we could live for twice or even 3 times longer? There would still be a future beyond us, but it might be so far away that it completely changes how we choose to live. The thing that is so frightening about aging isn't about getting older by itself, but that the body starts to decay. One body part after another starts to hurt. All energy is slowly declining. The brain gets foggy, and there is a loss of spark and vitality that at some point gets impossible to restore. So what if we can grow old, but still keep our body and mind just as healthy and alive as in our prime? Being able to move freely, without pain and restraints, to see the world vividly in all of its colors, to hear the music loud and clear, to be horny and in love and have a lot of sex, and being able to choose whenever you would like to have kids without the pressure from the biological clock ticking, to see your kids grow up and to have everyone and everything you love just a little longer. Someday all of this might be possible. It may not resolve the deeper paradox of existence, that to be alive is to exist within limits, even if those limits are constantly shifting. In that sense, the pursuit of longevity is not just a scientific project, but a philosophical one, forcing us to ask what it means to live at all. Until that day arrives, if it ever does, there is still much within our control. We cannot stop time, but we can choose how to move through it. We can take care of our body, eating nutritious food, and build healthy habits to give ourselves the best conditions for a long and good life. And just as important, we can choose to have a youthful mindset, to stay mentally open, curious, reflective, and present, not bitter, resentful, passive, and depressed. In the end, we will not be able to escape the fundamental conditions of existence, but we are not completely powerless within them, and there is meaning to be found, not just in waiting for a future where life is over, but learning to live fully, consciously, with intention. I will miss the ending of the story, but I'm here for this part, and for now, that is enough. If you enjoyed this video, you might like the previous one I made. You find a link to it in the description box. My name is Amalie. I'm an artist and I make videos about art, life, and things I'm thinking about. Subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and if you have any thoughts about the things I talked about today, I really would like to hear about it in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.